everybody, it's Pat Jones, and I'm here with another TurfZoom brought to you by our friends at Aquatrolls. Today I'm here with Tim Zurybida, who's got some great things going on out in the DC area, but a lot of you might know him from his time in Philly. Tim, welcome to the TurfZoom.
Pat, thank you very much for having me. It's been a whirlwind, heck, it's been a whirlwind week, a whirlwind day as I drove up from DC to Philadelphia this morning. But yeah, very happy to spend a couple minutes with you here this morning and discuss what we have going on.
Well, I want to jump to the whirlwind in a second, but first, just give me the kind of the elevator version of your background, because it's one that's covered some amazing facilities and a lot of great golf territory out east. So tell me how you got into this crazy business.
So unfortunately, I'm getting long in the tooth, so it's a long story. So I'll try and keep this one quick. But when I was a child, when I was, I believe, 12 years old, I was one of the youngest ones in my class. So I had a buddy of mine that knew the caddy master down at this little place called Melrose Country Club. And he said, one weekend, let's go down and make some money. And I went down and hated the early morning, hated the weight of the golf bags, hated the people I was caddying for. But I came home that day with something like $13 or $14.
Right.
Every single morning, my mother woke me up on the weekends when I wanted to sleep in to drag me to the golf course to go caddying. So where everything changed was there was one Monday was a caddy day. They didn't have an outing out there. So with the same buddy, I went out and played golf. And I always say I made a birdie my first time going out there to play. I thought the 16th hole was a par five. I actually made a par. I made a four, but in my mind it was a birdie. And ever since then I was hooked. So it became became a labor of love. I was a decent caddy. Wound up working in the golf shop throughout high school and college. My whole plan was to become a golf professional.
Mm-hmm.
And my grades were not the best in high school because I was playing golf all the time. So somebody told me that College of Agriculture at Penn State, they'll accept anybody. I certainly fit that bill. So applied to the College of Agriculture with the intent to transfer into professional golf management.
Right.
Now, this is before the, really at the dawn of the internet. So you didn't have all your course rankings. I lived on the north side of Philadelphia. I did an internship at this place I had never heard of called Aronimink Golf Club.
Right.
You'd say, that's crazy, Tim. How have you never heard of Aronimink? But yeah, before the internet, before state rankings that I ever saw.
Yeah.
And yeah, within a few months of taking that internship, I was given the title of assistant superintendent following graduation. And, I don't want to say the rest is history. I spent 3 years at Aronimink. I actually did get into the golf business at the aforementioned Melrose Country Club, where I was assistant pro for a few years, and then got back into turf business pretty much full time.
Yeah.
The end of that story is I worked for a municipality for nearly 20 years before, my job had morphed into more facilities maintenance, pool maintenance. I was a certified playground safety inspector and just got out of everything that I was passionate about. And in 2019, I just, took a chance, got back into golf full time, and sort of led me to where I am today.
Amazing. So was John Gosselin in Aronimink then?
John Gosselin was at Rolling Green, so I've known him
that's right.
since the late '90s. Yeah, I worked under a gentleman who's no longer with us, TJ LaPlante.
That's right.
He came from the Augusta tree, and then Rick Holanda. I spent a year and a half under him too. And we got through that bent grass conversion, and I sort of had enough of the business. So yeah.
So who are some of the other folks that you learned from along the way? Some of the turf heads or non-turf heads that were important in your career?
So first and foremost, I'm sitting at Huntington Valley Country Club right now. First and foremost would be Scott Anderson, who was the superintendent here for more than 40 years. So
right, forever.
Scott introduced me to, the minimalist style and, sort of the ecological style of maintaining a golf course. And I bought in a lot with that. And I still am a soils first agronomist, the big time try to promote microbial activity. And so Scott is definitely one of them. And in recent times, since I got back into golf full time, got a bunch of buds around here in the Philadelphia section that, I still will rely on for information. We have a very good network up here of really intelligent guys that try and compete against each other. And just still try and keep in touch with those guys on a regular basis.
Philadelphia is amazing. I mean, it just doesn't get any better in terms of the opportunity for superintendents to do great things at great golf courses, and such a special place. But DC is pretty cool too. A lot of people talk about the DC Mafia, and you got the Congressional, and you got these amazing golf courses, Chevy Chase, and all these other things. But your courses are even more unique. Tell us about your courses in the DC area.
DC area, I work for National Links Trust, which is the leasee of the 3 city golf courses in DC. So,
Mhm,
but technically I work for Troon. It's,
mhm,
it's, it's a really interesting situation. So the 3 golf courses sit on National Park Service grounds. So we can get into that regulatory issue later. We could talk all day about that one, but, yeah, National Park Service grounds. The leasee is National Links Trust, and I'm employed by Troon. But we have, 3 different properties located throughout the city. They're not close to each other, which is, a challenge in and of itself.
right.
East Potomac Park, which is sort of like the flagship property, the highest usage one, has 3 courses, an 18-hole course and 2 9-hole course.
Mhm.
Just to tell you the volume that we do at that place, we did 126,000 rounds of golf in 2023, and
Wow,
20 million golf balls hit at the 100-stall driving range. So the place is just an
unbelievable.
absolute factory. And yeah, I went from 13,000 rounds a year at Bellwood Country Club, my previous spot, to 126,000 rounds of golf. You got to change the
I hate to
mindset just a
ask,
little bit.
how many staff members do you have at that facility?
So at that East Potomac, and we're responsible for a lot, but currently we're sitting at like 23, 24. I take
Okay,
that back. Add one more. I hired somebody today. That's why I had to
okay.
leave a little bit later because I signed, another soul up today to help us with the effort.
Holy smacks. So, and then tell us about the other ones.
So Rock Creek Park, I'll tell you what, let's hold that one for last. Langston
Yeah.
Golf Course, which is an 18-hole golf course, has a lot of historical significance. So Langston was one of the first golf courses in the country that was open to minority play. It's
Mhm,
a national historical landmark. It's in the Black Sports Hall of Fame,
mhm.
and it's just one of the most special places on the planet. And even talking about it right now, I'm getting goosebumps because it means so much to me. Just walking in the gates there, you go. It's not in the best neighborhood in Washington D.C., but walking into the gates, you get a different feeling, and it's an oasis, and it is a spot for the community. A lot of the kids go to the clubhouse there to get their breakfast and lunch, and city
Yeah.
workers. It's just a special, special place. And finally, Rock Creek Park is really the reason why I am down in DC. I've got a lot of history on William Flynn golf courses. So Rock Creek was designed by William Flynn and opened in 1925, and they really did not do much tree work since then. So over the years, over the next 100 years, the forest just kept on growing in and growing in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is only a 14-hole golf course right now.
Tell us about the trust and what it represents, because there's been similar things in Europe and other places that have links trust. How did the trust get formed and what's the mission?
So I came in on the tail end. So exactly how it got formed, I cannot, really speak
Okay.
to that. I know the 2 co-founders were Mike McCartan and Will Smith. And they were formed. This is the first project is the National Capital Project, where they're going to renovate all the golf courses in DC, Rock Creek being the first one. But you know, their mission is to positively influence the community and the game of golf through affordable and accessible quality golf.
Right.
So this is
So,
where
this is a passion project for some people who had the resources to put this kind of a thing together and to reach out to other people and to create this fund and this trust that helps to manage and preserve these golf courses that otherwise wouldn't get that much attention. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate. And one thing you have to recognize is the amount of work. And I didn't even realize this until really recently when like I said, the last week has been a whirlwind where we actually got the green light for our first renovation. The amount of work that these folks have done that are involved with National Links Trust is just monumental. And I saw it up close, and it's just repetitious, saying the same story over and over. And a lot of credit should be given to everybody involved with this project, because there's going to be thousands, if not tens of thousands of future golfers that are going to benefit from all the hard work that was done.
Well, tell us the story. What just got approved and why is it so important to the future of this particular golf course?
So we were speaking of Rock Creek Golf Course, which had been, densely overforested through deferred maintenance over the last 100 years. That golf course had gone from an 18-hole golf course down to a 14-hole golf course because 4 holes were not playable. What was proposed is a 9-hole regulation golf course and a 9-hole par 3 golf course, utilizing many of the old William Flynn green sites.
Mhm.
And yeah, so there was, it got approved by the National Park Service. But when the public heard about the amount of trees that were going to need to be removed to make the golf course viable again, there was a lot of public outcry. So
Sure.
just this past week, The National Capital Planning Commission voted almost unanimously. There was a 13-person commission, 12 yeses, 1 abstain, but voted the yes for the project. So it's been a celebratory couple of days, and now we're getting back into the planning stages here.
Right. As we said earlier, it was kind of an, oh, you know what moment of, okay, we got approved now. What's next? So what is next? What's the timeline then to bring this course back to life and to get it where you hope it will be such a community asset?
The timeline has not been decided upon yet.
Okay.
I mean, the ink is not yet dry, and everybody's saying yes to this project. So, again, planning stages, we're figuring that out. And, we've got just an unbelievable team with National Links Trust. So I just had a meeting with them right before I spoke to you, and they are really, a lot of experience with golf course design. So
Yeah.
going through those stages right now.
So, yeah, and I think that there's been a great new focus on municipal golf courses around the country, particularly ones like this that have some historic purpose. The Muni down in Austin, Goat Hill out west, and even here in Cleveland, we were talking earlier. There's a historically significant course that was also early to the game in terms of having black golf leagues there and things like that. So it's great that we're seeing all this attention, and you're right on the point of it now. So it's got to be an exciting time.
Absolutely exciting. I do not have a family or children of my own, so the ability to positively affect or influence the surrounding communities, it's a task that I don't take lightly. So we've already started an apprenticeship program. We have 2 apprentices that we're helping to go to turf school this off season. Just something else I take a heck of a lot of pride in.
Right. How do you cope with the agronomic challenges of the District of Columbia, which is the humidity capital of the world? How do you cope with the agronomic challenges there with, not the greatest budgets in the world or not enough people? What kinds of issues do you deal with, and what are some things that you found that work to help deal with them?
The big thing that we deal with is a lot of traffic, and obviously the golf courses are open 7 days a week. Me coming from the private sector, there's no such thing as a maintenance Monday. I mean,
No.
at East Potomac, we're talking 300 rounds a day in season, so there's not much of a break. But yeah, we are learning, and obviously that area is an area of the country where nothing grows well. We sort of proved that this year. I say that in jest. No, our green sites were greens held up incredibly well this year throughout June and July, where we had absolutely no rain whatsoever. So what we're really focusing on are, the warm season turf and the fairways and tees, and coming up with strategies that we can maximize conditions leading up into the renovations. So all properties are a little bit different. The project at Rock Creek is most likely going to take between 2 and 3 years to get done, in which case, hopefully we'll be able to go right into Langston, start the permitting process for that one. So East Potomac will be the last one on the list for a number of different reasons, but that gives you more opportunity to improve conditions at that one, because it's not going to be renovated for the next, best case scenario, 6 or 7 years down the road.
So you're just going to keep cycling into the next one.
Hopefully that is
Yeah.
the plan. We'll see what happens. There's going to be some hiccups along the way, we are sure, but the last hurdle that we just got over this past week was one of the major hurdles. So very, very excited about the future.
That's really good. Well, I know Kevin Runstrom, who's the Aquatrolls rep there in the DC area, thinks pretty highly of what you're doing, and strongly recommended that we get in touch with you to find out more about how this process is going to work, because it's really unique, and everybody involved should be congratulated. It's remarkable. So, do you ever get to go out and have fun? Do you get to go do anything that is not involved trying to sell an amazing project to a group of people?
So I don't like having this information. Yeah, I am from Philly. I came back up for a couple of days off and to play some golf this week.
Yeah.
I just looked. I worked 79 of the last 80 days. So I had 1 weekend day off. Do I get to have fun? I do. After work, I have, my golf has gone down exponentially. So I don't play anywhere near as I used to.
Right.
I don't have too many turf guys I hang out with, because nobody lives actually in the city of DC where I live.
Right. Yeah.
I go out, I hop on the bike, I cycle a lot. I walk
Yeah.
the city a lot. I've got a couple establishments I like going to for dinner. But
Yeah.
it's been work. It's been a lot of planning getting to this point. And hopefully after this winter, I'm going to have a different answer to that question. So once we got into September, I sort of made the change of mindset to start treating myself a little bit better.
That sounds great. It's a great walking city, and there are just so many things to see and do on the outskirts too. I highly recommend out there at the C&O Canal, that park out there with the great falls and the waterfalls and stuff. Absolutely beautiful, and
I
just such a
believe somebody
spectacular.
recommended me that exact property last night, so I'll take you
Is
up
that
on it.
right? That's great.
Yeah,
That's
yep.
great. Yeah, it's such a neat area, and I don't think people appreciate the natural beauty of the Washington area because we think of it as this giant metropolitan area where the government lives. So really cool for you. Well, I hope you get to enjoy a little bit more of that. So the other thing though that you've gotten involved with here in the last few years has been this really remarkable foundation that kind of started up there in Philadelphia. Our friend Scott Bordner at Union League and you and some other people have gotten involved with. Tell us about the foundation and what you're trying to do to support educational opportunities for aspiring greenkeepers and young superintendents.
Yeah, I really appreciate you asking about this. Yeah, hopefully many of you have heard about the Super Scratch Foundation. It's a 501(c) that was created right at the beginning of the pandemic. Our first season, we had a golf tournament where we had 12 teams compete, and we were able to donate $1,500 to the Friends of Del Val. What this event is there's thousands of programs across the country, but we had never heard of a superintendent paired with an amateur. So
Right.
we did that, and we're trying to gain support from the club itself. So where I'm sitting at Huntington Valley Country Club right now is where the tournament proper is contested. And in a short 4 years, we've gone from some of the elite clubs in Philadelphia to really a national style event where we have clubs participating from Florida, the New England area, as far out as California. And this year we have a guaranteed $65,000 in scholarship money that's going to be awarded after the event.
That's
How that money,
remarkable. I mean, that's just amazing. So how do young people find out about this and access this information? How can they learn more?
so we have our training wheels on a little bit, but the way that the actual tournament works is a high-end amateur paired with a superintendent, and there's two competitions that take place. So a gross competition for the amateur participant, and then a better ball between the super and the amateur. And then the superintendent and the amateur, the superintendent really gets to choose what agronomic institution they would like to give the money to. And we have developed relationships with the advisors at right now 7 schools. We ask
Great.
them to determine the students that are most in need, and that's sort of how we go about that. But we have a couple other things that are in the works as this has become, successful beyond our wildest imagination. So, we're learning, and we're going to change it up and try and do as much as we can for the industry. It's not out of the realm of possibility that we will be the biggest contributor to students studying agronomy at the end of this year's event. It's something I take a lot of pride in.
Astounding. What's the website?
So that would be superscratchfoundation.org.
Right. And it's
Anybody
just
wanted to learn
sort of
about it or
okay.
see who the former recipients were, or the participants, clubs that are participating. And now we're going to have some qualifiers across the nation next year. That's not public knowledge exactly yet, so I'm not going to spill
Okay.
what it is, but it is
Shh, don't.
expanding beyond our wildest beliefs.
It's amazing. And so this is how We Won Foundation got started. It started with a few people who were passionate about something, and they held a little fundraiser, and pretty soon it grew. And now it's, of course, an enormous foundation and quietly does amazing good things for people. So I hope you have some of that same success. And I got to think this is the perfect opportunity to get some educational opportunities that are the non-traditional education. And Del Val is a program that I don't think enough people know about. So starting there and helping them is tremendous because they've done nothing but turn out great turf heads for decades.
Yeah, Dr. Lindy has become, definitely an associate of mine, and it always brings me a smile to see him.
Right. So final thoughts. Here you are, and your world is you've got a million things going on. But so what are your final thoughts about being part of this business that would allow you the opportunity to meet all these people and do all these things and hopefully help not only the next generation of young kids that want to play golf, but the next generation of turf heads? How does it feel?
Pat, I've had so many people help me out along the way to get me to where I am right now, and I'm so appreciative of that I really want to pay it forward and do the same for other people. DC, I'm going to use as an example. Very high cost of living. we had an assistant's job out there that I advertised at a very nice number and had one applicant for.
Yeah.
We're building from within, so that's what we were trying to do: affect lives around the community and sort of apprenticeship programs, and try to promote from within. We've got some really amazing things and potential for careers coming in the next few years with these renovations. Yeah,
Right.
I'm just so proud to be a part of that, and proud to say that I'm able to help the surrounding communities through the game of golf.
Just amazing. And proof once again that turf heads solve problems.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate your time, and thanks to our friends at Aquatrolls for sponsoring this once again. Stay tuned because we're going to keep in touch with Tim about this project because it's just getting started and it's going to be an amazing thing. So once again, Tim, thanks for your time, and go get them today at Huntington Valley.
Pat, thank you very much. Very nice talking to you.
Cheers.
Cheers.